Siamo con Toby L, che è il regista di Blur to the End, un documentario che sarà nelle sale italiane il 24, 25 e 26 febbraio grazie ad Edel Entertainment e un documentario ovviamente sui Blur o sul ritorno dei Blur. Grazie mille intanto a Toby L per essere con noi e iniziamo subito con le domande.
Thank you, Toby. Dopo l'adrenalinico inizio in macchina, entriamo subito nella casa di Damon Albarn. Puoi raccontarci che atmosfera si respirava prima, dopo e durante la ricomposizione dei Blur e cosa si mangiava?
Well, I think I mean the atmosphere at the beginning was I think trepidation. People are nervous and anxious about how it's going to go. Also a lot of excitement, because it wasn't just sort of getting back together and playing places the band have done. They were building up towards their biggest ever concerts at the British National Stadium. And the thing about Wembley Stadium is that it's got such a huge music history, like Live Aid and all the stadium rock bands of the 80s and the 90s have played really legendary shows there. So for a band like Blur, who had never played Wembley Stadium, it was an amazing opportunity for their legacy to be given a new chapter that they perhaps didn't expect to happen. And for us following it, it was just a really incredible opportunity to share that excitement, the nerves, the stress, the joy that comes with being in a band trying to do amazing things. It's not easy being in a band, especially for a long time. And I think the film openly explores that. It's not trying to say everything's perfect because, like life, it just isn't. And then the moment of it, the show itself, I mean, obviously for a documentary, you want it to be amazing, right? You want the big payoff of the film to be great. And thankfully for the band, as well as the critics, as well as most importantly, as well for the fans, the feeling was that these gigs, which were their biggest ever, were indeed also their best performances. So it really was a great triumph. And for us to be able to be making a film that had that climax was a real, a real wonderful thing.
And what did you eat?
What did I eat?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was many scenes of a long table. Everyone is fish pie, I remember.
So at that point, the eating was there was like a really good soup, quite a rich soup, which I think you can see Alex sort of like kind of
Yeah.
like tucking
Yeah.
into. And then there was a lot of lettuce, there was a lot of leaves and nice salad. There was also I think there was some meat as well, because it's quite close to a lot of good farms. So
Yeah.
there was lots of good quality ingredients as well.
Okay.
To the End racconta anche la fatica di rientrare nei ritmi dello showbiz con una nuova consapevolezza. Che cosa ha imparato Toby L, il regista di questo documentario, da questa esperienza insieme ai Blur?
Um, well, I guess it's sort of the most recent installment of their lives and their career. I mean, right now we don't know if Blur will happen again. This might be the last. Equally, they might come together again in a few years. No one knows, but I think it's sort of supposed to celebrate, a long career, but one that was made to feel new again because they had the inspiration to make new music again. And I think Blur would never, it's for them to say, but I don't think Blur would really come back unless there was something contemporary and fresh. They're not really a nostalgia band, like they want not that there's anything wrong with it being a nostalgia act, but I think for Blur, they want it to be vital and fresh and new every time they do it. So even though Wembley was exciting to them as a challenge, I think they also wanted to come to Wembley with new music, new songs, and for it to feel, like the band are back in a real way. And so hopefully what you learn in the film is just what it takes to do that. It's, you can't just like write a few songs. You've got to make sure the songs are amazing because they're standing up against that test of time of all of the other amazing songs you've written that have got you to that stadium level. So I think it was a huge achievement for the band to not only make the best and biggest gigs of their career happen, but to also come back with as good a record as they did. Many bands try to do that, but most fail.
Yeah.
Una domanda tecnica. Il To the End si divide una parte mero documentario, l'altra parte concerto puro e semplice, anche se non è proprio semplicissimo. Durante la registrazione di un documentario e un concerto, qual è l'imprevisto più grave che ti può capitare e cosa fai per evitare che questo capiti?
Well, I mean, it's funny you asked that because I was thinking about this recently where if you think about it, like imagine if the band cancelled on the morning of Wembley and, our production crew and our funding for that crew, 110 people that were coming to film it across 20 cameras. I don't know. I mean, we'd lose all the money, I think. So so it's like it's very high risk for everyone, really, is that equally it could rain all day and it's open air. So, your camera equipment could get ruined. It might also just ruin the energy of the whole day, like for the artist and the audience. You go from something that should be exciting and happy and triumphant to suddenly something that's quite depressing. So there's a lot of jeopardy when you're putting on a concert or you're capturing a concert, technically. And then on top of that, it's also just trying to make sure that you make a film that people care about because it's easy to make a film, but how do you know it's going to connect to people? And the best way you can try and make something that hopefully connects is to do something that's a really, especially when it comes to documentary, it's got to be honest and real. People have got to watch something and feel like they have connected to the people in it and that they've felt inspired or they feel like they've been taken on an emotional journey, which hopefully this film does. It's about relationships more than being in a band in a way. It's more about human connection and how that connection changes as we get older in ourselves and with people that we're close to. So hopefully that can resonate for people that love Blur or don't even know who Blur are.
Nella parte di Newcastle si parla con un gruppo di nuove fan, di giovani fan. C'è un aspetto del tuo documentario che è stato pensato, ma anche il tuo racconto è stato curato proprio per chi conosce poco i Blur.
I felt like there was a documentary that was made in 2010, a brilliant film about the band called No Distance Left to Run, and that film does a great job of telling the story of Blur, from the beginning all the way up until that point. So I didn't really want to repeat that story. I'm sure, I mean, some critics have been, oh, why doesn't this film tell the story of Blur? But if I think if people want to find that out, they can watch that or read Wikipedia. For me, what's more interesting is about, as I say, relationships and emotional connection, and that is not just for the band, it is indeed for the new fans that are in the film. I thought because this isn't a nostalgic band and it's not a nostalgic film, it was interesting to see a new generation of teenagers and early 20 somethings that are coming to see a band that formed in 1989. I thought that was really interesting that people are connecting to their work now. And I think it speaks to a lot of things. It shows that the songwriting is timeless and what they write and sing about connects to people in the here and now. It's not just about that era
Mhm.
like some music is. Some music is very tied to the moment it was created in, which is great, and that's fine. And we can all go in our own journey back when we listen to that by putting on the music. But this band seemed to be when they come together or when their songs are available on Spotify or whatever, or when you put a record on, it feels like this band is a very live here and now prospect, which I found interesting, and that's why we explore it from the perspective of those young fans in the film.
Un'ultima domanda per Toby L, che non si occupa solo di regia, ma è anche un produttore musicale. Noi qui in Italia siamo reduci da una settimana di Sanremo, che è un famoso festival che in qualche modo monopolizza gli ascolti radiofonici e televisivi per settimane. Chiediamo quindi a Toby L se può consigliarci invece un brano musicale, volendo anche della sua Transgressive Records, che può anche un po' farci spostare, diciamo, lo sguardo e le orecchie da Sanremo.
Yeah. I would say there's this new band we've just signed from Los Angeles called Rocket, Rocket. They're really exciting. It's like really heavy, just exuberant rock music, very good melodies, and amazing loud band when you see them live. They're very, very exciting, very young, very fresh, and yeah, it feels like some of that. I don't know. It kind of reminds me maybe of some classic Smashing Pumpkins, and yeah, they're a really, really great band. So I recommend Rocket. They're really, really cool.
Grazie.
Grazie, thank you so much Toby L. Abbiamo parlato di Blur to the End, questo è il documentario che dal 24 al 26 febbraio trovate al cinema. Grazie mille Toby L.
Grazie. Thank you for your time.